good evening. Welcome to the Supernatural Inc.'s Spiritual Speakeasy, where the bar is always open and the spirits are always served. We've already got people on. Hi, Sunder. Hi, Shaman Sundays. Brandon. The heart person is not going to ding the hearts, but here we go. Tonight's special guest is Bethany Noble. She is the dearest friend of mine. She's the owner and founder of The Guided Key. She's a Reiki master, and we just have the deepest dive discussions. And so we want to get started because this is going to be a deep dive, I'm sure. Hi, Bethany.
No doubt. No doubt. Hey, Julie. Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Hi, Carol.
Yeah. I've been like all week amped up about this. And then today I messaged you like, my spirit guides have me so amped up for this.
Yeah, well, it's exciting because when the two of us to get together, like great things happen and the energy just flows. And a lot of people don't understand that flow, and we get into some weird topics that just free flow through you, and we're like, how did we end up on that? But we do, and here we are.
Yeah. I mean, no holds barred, right? Everything goes whenever we get going. I love it too. I mean,
and the spirits speak. I mean, like, you guys are going to hear all kinds of probably weird stuff, and if you have questions, this is the time. The 7 people are watching right now. If you have questions about energy, Reiki, healing, positive flow, vibrations, keeping it real, shadow work, anything else?
I mean, it's gonna come up. So, you know, if you have questions about it, just start asking. I mean, here's the thing I think about the way that I do my work, you do your work. The people who we are meant to talk to just show up.
Every time. Every time.
You know what? Whenever I started doing this work, I had this vision, I thought, for what it was going to look like. And being an energy worker, being a Reiki master, like, what did that mean to me initially? I think it meant like people coming to me, right? Scheduling these appointments, right? And like having this brick and mortar place where people would come to me and I would be doing hands-on Reiki healing for people. Like, and that was my approach. And now, like, what it is and what it actually is so not that. I mean, yeah, there's an element of that involved, but the actuals involved with it are so many levels deeper, right?
Not at all the same, is it? Not textbook. There is nothing textbook.
No. And so, you know, that's one of the things I think I love about how you and I are able to have our kind of spin-off conversations, is because when you think about what does it take to actually work with people as they're coming into your life, as they're coming into your practice, you have to have like this dip into this multifaceted capability. And it's not at all the I know how to do Reiki. That's not it, right? And I think that a lot of people,
there is no book that can tell you what you're going to have happen to you.
No. And I, you know, the book of life, that's what it is. It's the book of life.
Isn't that funny? It's for sure. For sure. It's totally everything you did not expect all in one session that you make it through. And how do we make it through sometimes? Like, I have no clue.
Yeah. I love it though, because people will show up, right, for a session, and you think, okay, I'm prepared for what I think is going to be a great session, or, you know, maybe even not, right? Maybe I have my energy set for what I think is going to happen based off of my connection with their guide and or their guides. And it ends up being this completely different transference of energy. And it could be because maybe I'm meant to have a lesson from this person in that session, you know, like
it's always mutual
for me.
Mutual. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it could be so many things. are going on. And if you're not learning, then maybe you should be leaving. So
I love that. No, that's so true. That's so true. Hi, Greg. Hi, Carol. Thanks for showing up. Linda has a question. She says, I'm interested in learning more about Reiki. Is it all hands on above training, or are there books that help? Well, we're going to get into that. Glad you
yeah,
asked.
yeah.
There's a lot of books. There is training. Part of the Usui method. Hi, Tanya.
Hi,
Tanya's on. The language of love. Hey. The books will assist if you've had personal training. I do not subscribe to people who learn Reiki over books. I am hands-on tradition, as is Bethany. So we have a very, very short lineage from Dr. Usui and his wife. And so that kind of shortens the cord, if you will, of knowledge. Reiki believes that, or teaches that, it's a very lineage based. We're old school, by the way. We're not modern Reiki. Both of us are trained in old school Usui method Reiki, which means there has to be a cost and there has to be an energy transference within the induction and the initiation, if you will, where the ancestors' energy follows the cord and follows the trail. So when I walk and I put hands on, as does Bethany, the lineage comes with us. So all the energy is backed up with the lineage of the ancestors, which is very important. So yeah, the books will tell you things like hand positions. The books will tell you things like compassionate, loophole,
Yeah.
compassionate wordage. What am I trying to say? Trauma-based language, because we live in a day of trauma, so we have to be careful how we word things. That's not taught in your basic Usui class. Usui class is energy transference and opening channels and cleaning out and replacing energy and things like that. So that's the difference in a textbook and lineage-based training. You can add to that, Bethany. That's just how I was taught.
No, absolutely. And I think the delta that you experience from something like, an online course, or even a course that you might go to in person and experience through something that's not lineage based, is very much a more practicum based approach, where you do get guideposts for what you're trying to learn, and what you can learn. The difference, I think, is when you get that lineage, whenever you are able to really fully absorb into what that is, it takes on a whole new level of
Yes,
meaning,
it does.
and you instill that practice into your work, and you carry that forward into every single person that you're working with in a deep, meaningful way. And you come back to that every single time. And it's something that is just fundamentally part of the practice that you do. And you
Yes.
don't separate from it. It's
No.
just part of what you do. And what I've started to really observe is, for a lot of people um, who build a career path in the spiritual community, they will use Reiki as a platform to do
Sure.
that. And it will be a modality that they use to fall back on a lot of times. And that's perfectly valid and
Sure.
acceptable. If you hold on to that spiritual connection of Reiki, and if you allow it to really be that vessel of communication through you, that's really what is the true essence of Reiki. And you can't learn that in a book.
No.
You get that when you learn Reiki.
Yeah, because you
So
become one with it. It's with you all
yeah,
the time. You are walking with it. It walks
yeah,
with you. It's part of your energy level. It's part of your vibe. I mean, it's your
yeah,
whole vibration vibrates differently when you have that inside of you. And there's a difference in those people who practice Reiki, like, okay, I'm going to practice Reiki now. And those of us who consider ourselves Reiki masters and walking with it, it's like being a shaman. You're walking with that. It's who you are as
Yeah.
opposed to
And
what you do.
yeah, and Judy, you just made a very, beautiful comment. I love that so much. It's very much exactly like that. And it's building up that unconditional love for, the people, the things, the places that you're working with, and instilling that, imparting it in what you're working with, and almost really unconditional, regardless of the capacity in which it has entered into your presence, so that you can clear that energy, so that it's leaving that space in a very peaceful and loving and gentle way.
And that's a big deal. I mean, that's a big deal, negative or positive. We want to try to get it out as peacefully as possible
Yeah.
because the peace and love is what it's all about. Casey says to tell you your aura is beautiful tonight, Bethany. Hey, Vixen Paranormal, shout out. Hi, Greg. I think I said that already. Linda said, sounds like a real connection is built that facilitates the recipient in unconditional love. Absolutely. Nailed it. Yes.
Thank you,
Tanya
guys. Thank you,
says,
guys.
yes, it does. Embodiment of the divinity is a spiral. Greg says, can you feel your energy rise after completing your Reiki training? I'm going to let you
Oh.
answer that.
Oh man, Greg, yes. So should we talk about that, Julie?
Sure. Let's talk about that. What part of that do you want to talk about?
Oh man. Okay.
It's a whole
So,
thing.
let's just pick the final, like the most recent attunement. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Like, let's
So
just pick
let's
that.
start
Let's
with
start
it.
with that.
Attunement is after you go through the process of learning your symbols, your symbology, and your energy transfer, and you work on transferring energy back and forth. Attunement is where we put the symbols, we imprint the symbols into your energy pattern so that the ancestors are walking with you and opening up that channel. So it's like a doorway, and that symbol becomes a doorway, a ritualistic doorway that we use in energy to open and close different paths. And so we subscribe to the use of symbols, which is very controversial in some religions because that's where they get the demonics of Reiki, is because it is symbols. It is a Japanese system. They are Japanese symbols. It is not demonic. It's a vibrational symbol, much like a musical note. So if you're playing music to feel the
Yeah.
rhythm and change your mood, my symbol is no different than that musical vibration of a C or an A or something like that. It works in a same type of manner.
Yeah.
Mine has a lineage that comes through it. So at the end of that, the attunement is where the master puts those symbols into the person's energy imprint and allows it to come in and open that doorway. So that's what an attunement is.
So, as part of the attunement process, um, when the student, we'll say, when a student goes through an attunement, it opens up that gateway, and you you not only receive the Reiki, and you not only receive that, new ability and that capability to receive Reiki in that way, you're also opening up a lot in yourself when you're receiving that ability. And if you get kind of listen back and think back to earlier on when we were having a conversation, people are drawn to you for very specific reasons.
Yes.
And most notably, it's because of your experiences in life. Okay. And um, through those attunement processes, it can really open up your life experiences, right? And it can start to challenge you to face those experiences if you haven't already. And it can really make you start to do that shadow work that you really have to do in order to be the true Reiki master, Reiki teacher that you're intended to be when you go through those attunements. So, yes, 100% your vibe raises, but it only raises to the level that you're willing to challenge yourself. Because if
Absolutely.
you're not willing to face that shadow work, and if you're not willing to face those demons that are your own and that are in you, that you live with every single day, that stare you down, if you can't come to the table and face them as part of that process, then it's really no good. Like, what are you even doing? Because what
It's
what
true.
that yeah, I mean, like, your process is like, uh it's like, uh, it's like going to get this big certification, or, going to school and getting this big degree and then deciding not like trying to get a job and use it, but like deciding, nope, I'm just not going to use it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just
Well, you
deciding
close
not
the
to use
door.
it.
You close the door on
Yeah.
yourself when you do that. The energy, I mean, I'm not going to say it quits flowing, but it vibes at such a lower level that it's not going to flow the way that you anticipated it flowing.
Yeah, and it does. It just like derails your channel. And you think that's the problem. You think.
You
And
think. Therefore, you are. It is not, but you
yeah.
are. Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Tracy, welcome so much. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad this caught your interest. First timer, we welcome you. It's a very I have a very generic podcast. I have a lot of different people on, and please come back and see us again. And if it's something you like, stay with us. And if it's something you don't
Yeah.
like, move on. But we want you to stay. So we appreciate you joining us. Tanya says, brilliantly explained. Ding ding, y'all rock. Yes, we rock.
Tanya, I gotta give you some credit where credit's due too, girl. So thank you.
Tanya is an excellent, excellent trainer. The language of your memoirs, the language of love, the language of your destiny. She can lead you there. Linda says, we output electromagnetic waves and it seems to look chaotic. So it sounds like the symbols help to organize our waves and vibes. Absolutely. Great
Yeah,
way to say that, Linda. Very
great
well.
way.
It says
Hmm.
it sounds like then we become more aware of the change in our frequency levels. Well, the
Yeah.
awareness is that's what we want to happen. And again,
Yeah.
if you're blocking that, then there's not awareness. Tanya,
And I would say that's true. And also then it helps you to stay in that frequency of your vibe, right? It
yeah,
allows you to just more like harmoniously stay in that vibe. So
and we
your
come and
body,
go. We come and
yeah,
go. Don't. This is not a. Thank you so much, Tracy.
thanks,
She
Tracy.
subscribed. Yay! Thank you so much. We come and go. Like this is not. We sound like we're tooting our own horns. I mean, listen, the road is rough. And when you're aware of the shadow shit, because it's a shit show, when
Yeah.
you're aware of the shadow shit and it's aware that you know it, okay? Because, and I say this on every podcast, the demons we create are created by our own thought, words, and deed. Thought, words, and deeds. Thoughts, words, and deeds. There we go. I'm not crazy. It just takes me a minute to spit it out. But we create that shit show for ourselves. Now, the trauma may have been created by somebody else, but our mind blows things minuscule into huge mountains and then takes the mountains that were created by other people and makes them into volcanoes. And so you put our little mountains that should have been little marbles with the volcanoes, and it becomes an eruption of shit. I'm
Yeah.
just putting it out there. It is. And when you open up energy channels to heal other people, you have to be aware of your own shit show, and it will come out at the worst times. And we have to deal with that constantly. It is a constant work.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, so like the final attunement that I had with you was the probably most eye-opening. Most eye-opening. And um uh, I and also I would say relevant because of the timing and impact on my life. And I think the process of going through what I had to go through at that time
Hmm.
couldn't have happened in any other order, right, than it did. So what I mean by that is the sequence of events of what we experience are only such that they go on and they happen the way that they're supposed to. You know, if I had tried to do my work with you a year ago in the same exact capacity that I was doing then, it would have exploded for both of us in such a terribly big mess, right? But but
I mean,
but that's not how it went, right?
life is a big mess.
Yeah. And and leaning in and following intuition, leaning in, staying aware, settling in, and sitting with some silence. All three things that a person with this much patience can do well. It's such a challenge. And that's, I think, what a lot of people um run into these days. Like we have a society, we have an environment where it's like this go go go, do and never be.
Now,
And
now. I want it now.
yeah, yeah,
Has to happen
yeah.
right now, too.
And the the ability to settle for a few minutes, even just few minutes, and let your mind kind of be still, which seems so impossible to some people, right? It just seems impossible to some people to just quiet your mind. And it is impossible, really, for some people.
Hmm.
And getting to that point of being able to dial back just enough to allow yourself to just hear silence is such an important element of success. And so many people right now are taxed to the point that they can't even allow themselves to do that, like have a moment to even dial back to try to hear the silence, let alone hit the silence.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and some people can't stand to be alone in their own silence because the trauma speaks nonstop. The records play,
Yeah,
the recording goes constantly. And if you don't have the ability and the knowledge to shut that down for even a minute, then the suffering continues and the strife continues and the emotions continue. And it's like a hamster on a wheel.
it is. It
We're just
is.
spinning and we spin and we spin and we're pretty soon we kind of fly off the wheel because the wheel gets going so fast. We don't know how to stop it for that second to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, and so a lot of times it's like, are you going to acknowledge that you have suffering and then get out of it, or are you going to sit there and sit in suffering? Because you don't have to do that. There are so many options outside of suffering, and suffering is a choice. Suffering is a choice. um you know recognizing and acknowledging that you have um, arrived at that point, and then making a choice to stay in it is
Mhm.
your choice. So,
And
and then at that point, what are you
that's
doing?
all
You're the
bitter.
victim. Like, you're playing the victim then at that point. And that's not good. That's not healthy for you either, right? So, getting to that point of saying, look, I have discomfort. I know that there is this thing, whatever it is. Maybe I have trauma. Maybe I have sickness right now that I'm dealing with. Maybe I have pain. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe it's general just sorrow, whatever grief that it is that I'm dealing with. I have this, and now I acknowledge it, and now I'm going to move through that. I'm not going to sit in it. I'm going to acknowledge it in my state of silence, and then I'm going to move through it. And we oftentimes get stuck, and that's what so many people feel right now, especially, is that energy stuckness and that stale stuckness that so many people are just sitting in and not able to really move around in. And that's one of the things I love about when people come to see me, is like, I I feel it. Like, I can feel that ability to stir their energy up, you know? And it's like the first time in a long time that they have felt that.
Hmm.
And just stirring that up, I think, brings people so alive.
Sure.
And, you know, and even just going out into the community, I know you feel this too. You can go out into a space and just turn your energy up to a level that you're stirring up that environment. And you can do it the other way too, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's you're really stirring that up so that the community can at least get a little dose of aliveness sometimes. Is
Sure.
kind of
Because
what it
it's a
feels
gray
like.
muck. It's like an oily, gooey muck of
Yes.
stringy, sticky muckiness that
Yeah. Like,
attaches to people.
we were talking about this the other day, like going out to the grocery store and how much, like, anger and anxiety and hatred there is, just people passing through each other, passing next door to each other. And that that's so heavy. People can feel that. For 100 feet right around us is our energy field. And so as we're out in the community, as we're out in our environment, everything that you feel, everyone can feel. That and that's not just like you and me and other energy workers. That's everyone.
It is
That's
everyone.
and so we're all picking up on everyone's vibes right now. And so it's, imperative that we make a conscious effort as a community to rise above the anger and rise above the frustration and rise above the bitterness so
Yep.
that we can really acknowledge that there's a greater love that we all deeply share, and that it is not impossible to
No,
meet in the middle. It is
it's
not
not.
impossible.
It's
We
not.
can do it. And there's no real hatred greater than the motivator of fear. And we are all right now big targets of fear, and
Yep.
in every single facet of the way that you think about it. And I'm not going to take us down like some big rabbit hole of where we could go with that conversation of like politics, religion, things like that. But I know we all sense the tremendous amount of anxiety and fear in 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 the atmosphere. And we all have the ability to rise above
Yes, we
that
do.
that um that feeling that you have right here, that feeling that sits on all of our chests,
Hmm.
that is very visceral, that you have that ability to make a conscious effort, that you don't even have to scream out loud about your voice, about your opinion about things. If in your self, if in your conscious effort, in your subconscious, and in your conscience, you are making an effort to believe that something is better, that something is greater than it is, you are putting a better vibe out into the community. If you are being better than something is expected to be, you've got a better leg up on something. You we have to be better than the things that are being currently emitted out into the environment. I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely we do.
and 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 we have the ability to do it. I mean,
Sure, sure we do.
the negative talk, negative self-talk, the you know the way that we're really drowning ourselves in pain. It's truly avoidable, and we have that ability to rise above that, and I see that in what I in the people that I work with, and I love that so much that there's just a few minor tweaks that people can do, and that really pushes them in a different direction to be able to modify their behavior, modify their thought patterns, modify the way that they're thinking and believing in their self, so that they know whenever they're engaging with other people, when they're engaging with their community, their vibe is up here. So if they're up here, other people better meet them up here too. Otherwise, they're out, you know?
And I think that's, yeah, let's get back to that. I want to address some comments really quick. Casey says attunement in my work means to gain a meaning and deep understanding. Sounds very similar. You're spot on. Tanya says, and when Julie is your guide, Julie's experience helps everyone to face their deepest fears. And it's a healer's dedication to appreciating their divine gifts and all emotions. And we have to
Yeah.
speak to every emotion. We have to sit with it, and we have to be consciously thoughtful of it's okay to be fearful. We're not saying don't be fearful.
No.
Everybody has every right to feel whatever emotion it is that you're feeling. I will never take that right away from you. If you're scared, you're scared. If you're phobic, you're phobic. If you're angry, you're angry. Sit with it, feel it, experience why, and move it on. Don't just sit and wallow in it, because all those negative things are like a cesspool and you will drown in it if you don't move it on. That's what we're saying, is the ability to consciously recognize that you're sitting with that and going through that, and then move it so that you can do something about it, because otherwise you're just sitting in it, and over processing and wallowing is not the experience that you need to have. That's not vibing higher. I'm going to butcher your name, sir. I am so sorry. Yankee Cardosa. Greetings from Cuba. Many blessings, for I am religious in the Afro-Cuban religions. Very nice to meet you.
Welcome.
I am initiated in African Ifa and Santeria. And I realize that is the American term for it, and I use that just so that other people know what it is. The liquidated yo. Yo, Antoine Ritter says, so true. We got people asking how each other are doing. They're doing well. Yay. That's good in today's do. Tanya says, Bethany, you have such a beautiful, clear way of describing a profound topic exquisitely.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you so much.
Greg says, being alone for meditation and afterthought is wonderful. But for that last couple of weeks, I've been truly in a rut. Why? The energy's been shit.
Yeah, energy has been shit the past month.
That's not
Yeah.
your energy. That's not just interpersonal energy and human energy. That's planetary alignment and things going on. And it's been a buckle up buttercup
Yeah.
ride.
Get your saddle on straight, because we're going for a ride, is where that's been.
It's been a bumpy, not
Yeah.
you.
And not you, Greg. It has been a wild ride for everybody. And, everybody that's walked through my door, everybody that's been on my phone, it has been a wild ride for everybody. And again, if you're not learning, you need to be leaving. right now, because this is a time that the universe is handing out lessons left and right. And it is a real time for growth. So if you can take a look back over the past, 4 weeks and say, okay, what have I done that I can learn from this? That's your real opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's not like, let me sit in this and say, poor pitiful me. It's truly like,
Move it
I
or
keep
lose it.
saying this,
Move it or lose it.
move it or lose it is right. And I keep saying this, like, people are going to be really tired of hearing me say this at the end of this year, but 2025 is a year for change, people. If you are not making changes happen this year, get the hell out, because it is a change year and
It is.
you need to be making some stuff happen. If
And
you
doors are going to be
feel,
closing. And don't worry about those friends that walk out. They weren't
don't
friends.
worry about it.
Worry about those people that are talking shit. They're going to
Yeah,
talk shit. Don't worry about the jobs lost or the people lost. You move on, because they
go
weren't
on.
supposed to be there anyway. And it's time to close the doors of unnecessary things. We're getting
You
rid of the
can't you cannot try to force things, okay, right now, that are from your past. Like, if you have something that you are trying to hold on to and it is being forced out right now, you got to let it go. Like, it's not for your future. You got to let it go. And
And believe
2025,
me, we both felt this.
yeah,
Bethany and I have both, I mean, we have talked a long time on the telephone about why did this
and
happen? Why did this
it's
person
not
walk
just
out?
us. Like,
No,
it's not just us. There's people in my life that this is happening to. There's clients that I have that this is happening to. It is significant, like, change making year this year.
yes.
So, if you're seeing things that are recurring things that you're like, why, when I have wanted this a whole damn life, and now, when I finally have had it,
It
it's
sucks.
just slipping right out of my hands.
It
I've
sucks.
tried so hard, and it's the worst thing now. And I finally can do it. I finally have all the money in the world, and now I can't seem to make it happen. Well, it's because the universe is telling you you shouldn't be doing it.
Bye bye. Close that door. Linda
Guess
says I
what?
do. Excuse me.
The
Linda
next
says
thing that's coming is the best thing. The
it is.
next thing that's coming is the best thing.
And it's only going to get better. Linda
Yeah.
says I do a personal thing that I call being a spiritual warrior. This is totally going inward and recognizing all the factors of an issue that I need to deal with and ask myself, what can I do to understand what's going on? This requires me to be totally honest and acknowledge the facts. That's what we call shadow work, Linda. Same thing. Yep.
Bravo. I love it.
That total honesty is brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal. It can
Yeah.
elicit anger. It can elicit tears. It's going to be a lot of crying and sometimes yelling and screaming and sometimes just silence. And all of them are okay as long as you end up being honest with yourself and acknowledging.
Sometimes physical pain, right? Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
have had, like, physical pain in my body that has had to work itself out. And
and
yeah.
illness will bring that out too. A lot of people are sick right now with respiratory stuff. When you have any kind of illness, I've talked for 8 weeks now. I've talked about my surgery and the darkness, and it comes during those times. It comes during illness. It comes at nighttime.
Mhm.
Just like children get sick. Those of you guys that have kids always know kids always get worse in the middle of the night. Things always get worse. You always feel like shit when the darkness comes.
Yeah.
That's a normal fact. It's that energy ebb and flow. Without dark, you can't acknowledge the light, and it's a whole as above, so below thing, and we have to deal with that. Um, Casey says stuck equals resistance. Recognize it, accept it, and move through it. Absolutely, absolutely. Liquidated says last night's stream was awesome. Yay! I didn't do that, but I'll say yay for the network. Let's see. Bethany, the miraculous thing, our energy extends so far out from ourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Our energy field is so far around us. It's well, 100 feet around us, and then like it goes all, above us, it goes deep into the ground underneath us. And when you're talking about where your energy goes, it's going into everything. It's going into your the people that you're working with, but it's also going into all of the inanimate objects that you're working
Yeah,
with.
they vibe
And
too. People don't get
yeah,
that. My desk, my computer, things that are not alive, they vibrate.
yeah,
They have a vibration as well. They're made of substances. They're made of energy. They vibe.
yeah. And so, your devices, like my phone, this is my modern day spell book. Like this is I walk around and this is I talk to my phone. Well, I mean I talk on my phone, but I talk to my phone.
Talk to my
And yeah, and
it talks back. Shame.
uh, but stranger things have happened. But I talk to it, right? And make it mine, and like this, the energy goes where the energy flows. Or wait, did I say that the wrong way? Who knows? But
Well, you can flip it and it still works. The energy flows where the energy goes. It's the
yeah,
same. That's the beautiful thing of it. We're all blessed. We're all vessels for miracles. Um, let's see. Spreading hope is essential. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Our spirit soul is partly having this human experience to experience emotions and feelings. That is so true. That is so true.
yeah,
So I did and I talk openly about this. I did this amazing psilocybin trip. For those of you that don't know what psilocybin is, it's shrooms. I did a shroom journey, a spiritual journey, and the one thing that I bet I spent 6 to 8 hours when I was tripping was that we're here by choice as humans. The human experience is about the duality of love and humanity and finding the love. It's not about, we got it wrong, and I'm going to piss some people off here. It's not about God and the devil. Your spiritualists will tell you they're one and the same because we have the capacity for both within us, good and evil. That's our choice. That's energy is not good or evil. We make it that way. The things around us make it that way. And the duality of love is our human experience. And that is what we are here for, is love. And we will keep coming back as many times as we need to develop that human experience of love. And if you didn't get it the first time around, you're probably going to come back numerous times until you can figure out how to love. And I'm not talking about love as in find a partner and get married, but love. And love means loving yourself. It means loving yourself first. It means being okay with your past. It means being okay with your past lives. It means being okay with your family. Doesn't mean you have to agree. You don't have to like them. You don't have to agree. But to love a human being as another human being is to love the God cells, the God gene, the divine, the divinity within everybody. And when you learn that, then you've got the key.
yeah. I love
Tracy
that so
says
much.
energy flows. Energy flows where intention goes.
Yes, I love that too. That is so true.
Greg says, thanks for the validation. I was really worrying, holding holding on by my fingertips. Nope, nope, nope. Let go. Let go and just let the energy flow. The duality is love and loss of love. I think the duality is love in that borderline of hate, because there's such a fine line between love and hate. I think we hate to the point where we love, and I think we feel guilty when we don't love, which then becomes self-loathing, which is hate. And we beat ourselves up over the things we do, which is dislike of ourselves, rather than finding that grace. And I think grace and love are kind of one and the same.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with with love, maybe for me the opposite of love is loss, and um, the absence, of love is loss, and what would be equal to loss is emptiness. And um, just having that lack of, lack of capacity, that void,
Mm-hmm.
and the emptiness that comes with a lack of love,
Mm-hmm.
and not having something to fill that space that comes with love. Because for me, whenever I think of love, just thinking about the capacity to love and the ability to give my love
Mm-hmm.
fills me up in such a way that I'm not empty. And I think that, so the opposite of that to me is such an emptiness, that it's not hate for me. It's really the void. It's that black, dark void that I start to envision. And because I think hate and anger exist in the world independent to me of love.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, and also, for me, anger is such a place that I work from, for me to be productive sometimes.
Sure.
uh, so sometimes that can be motivated into some hatred, so I have to be careful with that dance. There's a lot of duality that I have between love and anger and peace and hatred and stuff that I tap dance with.
Sure.
um so yeah, I 100% agree that love is really where it's at, right? I mean, how are we going to build anything without a lot without love? I mean, we love for each other, love for the life of ourselves. I think back to 10 years ago, and what a lack of self-love I had then, and what a different perspective that brought me, and the view I have now on what that even means. Like, what does it even mean to love now versus what does it mean to love then? And seeing that different, objective view lets me lets me really grow and evolve my entire practice around that, because I'm not pigeonholed to, like, this relationship view of love, where
Yes.
so many people think, oh, I'm in love with this person. No, that's so very pigeonholed into that
That is
view
that
of
is
what
a
love
trap.
is.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
To love someone is like, when I think of love, I think of, and we've got a lot of great comments. Guys, you guys are just awesome. You're rocking it tonight. The viewers are absolutely rocking it. Um, I think of the movie, Avatar. I drew a blank on the name. I'm like, the blue
Yeah.
Avatar.
Yes.
You know, when,
Yes.
when she says, I see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he says,
Yeah.
I see you. That, to me,
Yes.
that is the greatest
That
love.
is,
When that
yeah.
person that you're with, whether it be neighborly or family or spousal or brother, sister, whatever, when they see you for who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
they see you and accept you for who you are, that doesn't mean they like everything that comes out of your fucking mouth. It doesn't mean that they even like you half the time. Like, it doesn't
Doesn't mean I want
mean
to fuck
they
you,
you.
right? It just
Yeah.
means, like, you are this person that I'm connected and vibing with,
Yes.
and we are on the same level, and I see you and I acknowledge you, and I feel that connection with you on some existential level,
Yes.
and let's jive.
Yeah, that's all it has to be. And I say that's all it has to be, but we make it into some romantic type of thing. And there is a romantic love as well, but you have to have that connection where you see each other for who you really are.
Right.
Tracy's frog in my throat. Sorry. Tracy says the illusion of loss. Yes, in an illusion, because
Yeah.
our perceptions are all different.
Yeah.
She also says it's part of the process, the path, the human experience of separation, also an illusion. The heart center can feel the truth.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that's real deep.
That is so beautiful, Tracy. That is
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Casey says, Julie, I hear it is going internally and then becomes that shame and self-hate. So thought provoking, you two. So we are, and that's the whole thing. Like we go deep into ourselves, and sometimes what we find we don't like, and then comes the self-loathing or the tapes that other
Oh,
people have had. I don't, I don't like myself. They don't like me. I'm to this. I'm to that. Tapes, narratives that people have played for us in the past
yeah.
because who we
That
think we are. So we shame ourselves and we don't give ourselves the same grace that we give other people ever, ever, never do we give ourselves the same grace.
never. Well, and that's the thing, like, and so when you're doing like deep trauma healing, one of the biggest things you have to remember is you don't want to repeat the past. You don't want to repeat the same things. And when you're doing deep trauma healing, those same energies, those same things are going to creep up. They are, because it's a test. You're going to continue to be tested until you show yourself, until you show the universe that you have overcome those trials. And it's just going to keep happening until you show, I know that I'm not going to do this anymore. And it's just part of the process, and that you can't do it a different way.
No,
You can't skip go.
no. And you're going to repeat because it's like an onion. I try to tell my clients we're peeling back and oops. And I do, my ring just fell off my finger. That's weird. I'm just sitting there. My ring just dropped. Um,
Oh,
we sit there and we tell people, you know, we're going to go through layer after layer of the onion. And so you may feel the trauma and we may talk about it and you may peel it back at this layer. And then 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, could be 2 months from now, who knows, whatever you're healing at, it's going to come and it's going to hit you again. And you're going to be like, we worked through that. You did work through that. You got the first layer off of that you were able to handle in that frequency in that moment. But now we have other frequencies and moments that are vibing at a different rate that we have to clear out now. So now you're going to come and we're going to work on that particular layer and we're going to peel back that layer. It's not like I'm going to clean you or I'm going to work on you and you're going to be 100% tipped. You might feel 100% in that moment,
right.
but then more stuff's going to come up. And I work with Kundalini and rebirthing as well with a lot of my clients because it's peeling off layers of that onion for people. And the rebirthing allows us to go through the trauma. I may sit through an hour trauma session with somebody going through rebirthing and going through the anger and the shaking and the trauma of those feelings. That's what they could deal with in that moment. When you have 40, 50 years of trauma built up, it's only one layer,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
two. So then, you know, it hits them 3 weeks later. Oh my God, I had this thing and all this stuff came and I can't handle this. I thought we worked through this. Well, we did work through it with the layer that you were able to let go of, but now we have to go deeper because now you're ready to see it at a deeper level. And it's constant work, and shadow work is constant work. And working on ourselves is constant. It doesn't matter whether you're the upper highest level Reiki and you're studying all these different things. The trauma is going to hit the same way for me as it's going to hit for a first timer. I
Yeah.
have to work through it the same way you have to work through it. And sometimes I choose not to work through it. Sometimes I choose to sit and waller in it. And then somebody has to come and kick me in the butt and go, okay, it's time to move on. Let's move. Let's go. And it's like, oh, I've sat here too long. We're human. That's the human experience.
Yeah. Very much so. Very much so. And and isn't that the beautiful thing too? That we're
It
that
is.
we're perfectly imperfect in that way. And then you can come through and identify, okay, okay, I've sat with that for too long. Why did I do that? Now let me
There's
pull
a
myself
reason.
together.
There's a reason
Yeah,
you sat with
there's
it.
a reason. You did. I mean, like I've sat with stuff for way, way, way too long. And then suddenly like you know, realized, okay, this is enough. Why have I been doing this? What is my pattern here? There is a reason that this is going on.
What
Now
did I
it's time to
miss? I have to ask
right.
myself, what did I miss? Because like
What am
8
I
weeks
missing?
and I'm still doing the same thing. What have I hung on to that I did not realize that I'm hanging on to because there's a trigger for that? Why do I keep being triggered? I think I know the reason and I keep clearing that reason. The definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing every time and expect a different set of results. Move on because I'm still doing it. And if I'm still doing it, I haven't hit the actual trigger yet.
Right. And it is possible to get to that trigger. But like you said, it's a layer that you just haven't gotten to yet. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it takes really digging. And it is a beautiful thing to dig deep into that onion. And yeah, you cry sometimes. You
Oh,
cry
yeah.
sometimes. But once you get there and you pull that, sometimes literally you pull those threads out
Mm-hmm.
and it feels so good once it's done.
And then
It
you're
feels
like,
so good.
whoa, that was so easy, but it really wasn't because it was buried so deep
Yeah,
in so
yeah,
many different layers. Linda says, first of all, Greg says, I feel like I got my oil changed and my headlights work now. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. It's kind of like we're working on ourselves.
yeah,
Um, for Linda says, for myself, I've learned that when my frequency goes up, I get tears in my eyes. Thank you.
yeah,
I cry
yeah.
over
That's
everything. There's tears, and everybody's like, "Why are you crying all the time?" I don't know. I like that. I'm going to tell him my frequency went up. Tracy says I
I
use
like
the
that.
onion method to peel back my triggers and disarm and heal them. Yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
Tanya says every time I tried to speed up the process, I would fall flat on my face. I now do step one and then I ask for the next step. Yes.
Isn't
Wow.
that the truth?
Huh.
Isn't that the truth? You cannot force the process, right? You cannot
What's
force
the
the
fronts to
process.
work on? Yes, always. Always. These are the kind of questions that require total honesty. Well, here's the thing. To me, if you don't have total honesty, you're just going to keep reworking and reworking until you get it.
Well, because you don't know what you're doing, right? I mean, you don't know until you know, and that seems like
When
such
you
a
hit it,
vague
you'll know.
thing to
When
say,
you hit,
right?
yeah.
It's such a vague thing to say, but when you're in the process of going through a healing journey, of a process of going through a learning about yourself and really coming into, what does it mean to be my true self, my fullest version of myself, it's 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 about facing those steps as you get to them. And yeah, part of that means you're going to get there and then you're going to step back and then you're going to go forward again and then you're going to step back and then you're going to go forward again and you're going to step back. And you're going to go in reverse a couple of times and you're going to go in reverse another couple of times. And, that's just the way it is. I mean,
Forward, one back. Sometimes two back, sometimes three back, and then you take a back step and you have to rework.
but the, the real deal is, as long as you are taking those lessons away from each of those steps, then you are going to ultimately be making progress, because your your lessons are your opportunities to move forward with. And it's in those opportunities that you really gain the insight that you need for the powerful moments that you end up in when you are doing that real big shadow work, when you have like the monumental moments when you're like, oh shit, what just happened to me? I
Yeah.
just went through like a total life changing moment and I didn't even realize it
Mm-hmm.
because I just did like 6 months or a year and a half of like major life building changes. And now all of a sudden it all caught up with me real quick.
And it will,
And
like sometimes fucking overnight. For
yes,
real.
exactly.
Sometimes
And
it's
it
overnight.
does. Sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes it happens like that. And you just have to be consistent and consistently patient with yourself.
Oh, that's a biggie. Patient with yourself. It's part of the process, the path, the human experience of separation. Oh, oops, sorry. Read that one already. Got a lot of comments coming in. My bad, people. Let's see. I went back too far. And we have to remember to add a layer of love. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
In relationships or social interactions, if I am triggered, I am thankful because I know exactly, it's obvious what I need to look at and unpack. Thank you. Yes. Triggers are not all bad. We're taught to see red flags and triggers as being bad. If we sense a trigger, that's a step forward, really, because you're recognizing something you didn't recognize in the past, and that's what we want.
Yeah. Again,
And
you
you're
know,
not
I look
touching.
at it as a lesson. I look at it as a lesson.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I learned it last time. Now I see it. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah. And it may take 2 or 3 lessons to figure it out, but that's okay too. That's okay too. It's easier than going into shadow and looking for what needs to be healing. Yep. Well, that'll pop out anyway.
It's gonna come up.
We are time released, impossible to know before you know. Exactly. Exactly. That's very true.
Yeah. Yep.
Greg says asking for the next step. Thank you. Greg, it's coming. That's all I can say. It's coming. If you recognize that you're ready for the next step, it will be there. It will show up. Just watch for it.
Just, you know, listen and, you know, try your best to stay aware and, you know, blocking out as much of the noise as you can. When I say noise, I mean our environmental noise. Um, I I try to remind people to be as present with yourself as you can be by maintaining a meditative practice, maintaining an exercise regimen that works for you, maintaining your diet, maintaining your fluid intake, water.
Sugar's terrible. Sugar is terrible.
Sugar, make sure you keep your sugar low. You know, healthy diet, exercise, which, you know, I know we always hear that, but it is so important. But keeping that kind of meditation routine also can be so fundamental to your ability to really hear your guides and connect with your guides, especially if you're newer to the spiritual practice or the um, ability to connect with the spiritual realm. It is important to just kind of get into that practice of just sitting, literally just sitting. So many people will not sit down.
And get off.
Get off the phone. Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
Get off this thing. Get off of it. We're on it. I'm on it. I'm guilty. We're on it so much, and it's a suck hole for our energy. It drains us. It was designed to drain us. It's a whole thing. It's, you know, and it becomes our life. It was made to become our life. That's the thing. This thing was made to take over our highest level thinking.
Yeah.
And I swore I was going to do this tonight because I said I was going to do this. Did it not come on? Come on. Oh my gosh. Hang on. Come on. Why is he not coming on? See, that's weird. He won't come on now.
It's our technical difficulty.
And now I'm fucking up. I'm saying like, the type of shit I'm on, you wouldn't understand.
We got to do it one more time for those people.
Wouldn't understand.
There we go.
Love him so much.
That's my cat, Ken. Get off the phone. Get off the phone. See, Carol asks, what are our thoughts on past life regression and Akashic records?
Oh, well, my thoughts, first of all, I love past life regression and the presence of our past lives in our current life and the influence of our past lives in our current life.
Hmm.
You know, the influence of them is I think greater and greater, and I think that we feel that influence more and more, you know, the older that we get in our human existence. And it would be so meaningful if we could all know our past lives
Wow.
because you know, if we could understand that so that we would be able to negotiate our present life so much easier, right? It would be so much, I think, less traumatic for us. But yeah, so you know, what do I think about it? I think that I think that it's valid, and I think that we all experience it to some degree. And if we knew more about them, then we would be able to do more with our current life. What was the
Amen.
second part of that?
I think you nailed it.
Okay.
That the perspective, and I couldn't agree more. And there's a lot of things, a lot of comments going on here, thanking us for our perspective of healing. And the most difficult and longest sitting was the breakthrough of denial, the reasons, the justifications of why I didn't make better choices. It wasn't time. It
Yeah.
wasn't time. And it gets into, and Tracy also says, I cannot give my unhealed wounds as an excuse. They arrive at themselves as they heal, and I work through with forgiveness. But
Forgiveness.
some of
Yeah.
those wounds and some of that stuff, the justifications, I really feel have to do with our past lives. And I had somebody sit down with me recently in a conversation and say, did it occur to you the darkness that I'm personally working through of having, you know, surgery and sitting there with all that's some kind of past life stuff? And it could be like, that's something you have to think about too, because when
Yeah.
you're sitting there for 8 weeks trying to justify and figure out why you're going through this, and it's so fucking traumatic. Why is this so it's, you know, I've gone through every rational thing and can't find this life trigger that
Yeah.
would justify the level. What if it is past life? What if it's something that the pain and the suffering was so long term or caused by something else that's triggering that, and now it's time to figure it out and deal with it?
What if it's not even like this dimension, you
What?
know?
What if
Like,
it's not even mine?
right.
Because we get into that, like, we take on so much shit from other people. What if it's something that I chose to take that wasn't even
That
mine?
wasn't yours. Yeah. And all valid, all very valid possibilities.
So Greg, you know,
Um,
your comment about what question or what comes next, what does come next? I don't know. What
yeah.
does come next? Figuring all that stuff out, going deep, sitting in the meditations, talking to your spirits, having them show you what it is that you need to see from that past stuff. Tracy says she believes in some form of cellular memory and reincarnation absolutely. That's
Oh
been
yeah.
scientifically
Oh
proven.
yeah.
That has been proven with organ transfers, organ donations. People will have, I mean, my son had a liver transplant. He was, things that he ate all the time. There were things in that after he had his liver transplant, it's like, fuck no. And it's like, does it not taste good because you ate so much of it while you were sick? No, there's just, there's a complete, like, whole personality changes when it came to some things. That was not him. I really believe that was from the organ that he received.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was muscle memory, cellular memory from that other
From the
person.
other DNA. Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely. How many times of past lives do we go through? Linda says she gets a kick out of doing past life regression because the story unfolds. You can see it. Yeah. And who are you
Yeah.
with during those past lives? Because you know what? We end up with the same people. They're in our lives.
Yeah.
We kind of
For
float.
sure.
They can be the victim, they can be the perpetrator, they can be a partner, they can be an enemy, but
A
somehow,
parent, a sibling,
yeah,
yes, and you know, I think the dynamics by which those people or those relationships enter back into your life is so peculiar, right? Because and that's
oh,
that's
Lord.
that's like that's why I think we should all be able to do like a past life regression and know what we're dealing with, because like if your if your mom murdered you in a past life, that could be a real reason why you don't have a good relationship with your
Well,
mom.
yeah, yeah, shit.
I mean, really.
But it's there, and if we had, and there's a lot of people that will tell you that we have access to that. We just have to be able to open those channels. And I do believe that it's coming. I think with the veil thinning and the more spiritual work we're doing, I think we're more apt to be able to kick into that and be able to tap into those past lives than we were before. Unfortunately, if you go back into the whole story of the two main aliens that came and created us, and one of them was pro-human and the other one said, well, the humans can have godlike qualities, but we've got to remove that part of their memory from their past experiences. RNA wise or DNA wise, part of that has been removed, and there is a very small percentage of people that have that DNA, RNA to be able to remember. And they can tell you, those are the people that can go back and tell you the Akashic records for yourself and other people. They have that genetic code that allows that memory, but most of us do not. I think it's like 90% of us that was wiped from our code. But I think you can rewrite that.
Mm,
There's meds that rewrite codes for everything else. I think mentally we can work on that to be able to reconnect that ability. But I
yeah.
think that vibration and consciousness and being open to what the spirits tell you and being willing to open those channels and those doors.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, and again, it goes back to like having that level of awareness, getting that connection and getting yourself ready, right?
Uh-huh.
Being ready for receiving is so fundamentally important.
Yes,
You know, you're
because if
not
you're ready, you're not going to receive. If you're
no,
sitting there going, I don't see this. I'm not gonna, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. Then you're not going to see it. It's pretty simple. I mean, if you block it, it's not going to come.
yeah,
It's
it,
going to
it's
come in a way that frightens you, and you're still going to close those doors, and then you're not going to deal with it. So the same outcome. I think it's the
totally.
same.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's like I'm trying to think like what would make sense to people to understand that. To me, it's like you're showing up, with this big filter on something, and you're just not, you're going to the beach, in your sweatpants and your sweatshirt. You're not going to get anything from the beach. You're not going to get any sun. You're not going to get
Right.
anything. You're just going to be miserable.
Here, smell this perfume or oil with nose plugs on. It's not going to
Right.
work.
Right.
Tracy says, my anxiety completely changed once I really realized the empath I am and learned to simply, just as in my heart center, is this mine or another person's energy? Absolutely.
Both.
The first
Both.
thing you have to do is be able to know what's yours and separate yours from other people,
Yeah.
because yeah, and especially as a Reiki master and working on energies, that's how we tell, like, you feel things, and I'm a physical empath too. So like when I'm working on something, I'll be like, okay, shit, what's going on with your left shoulder? Fuck. What's going on with your gut? Your anxiety's in your gut. Like, I feel a lot of things that my people go through. I have to let go of that shit. Like, that was
Yeah.
your feeling. I felt it, but I'm not going to walk around for the next 2 days feeling that. That's not
Feeling
my
that.
story. I still care about you, but I don't have to feel that physical pain. You got to let go
Yeah.
of that stuff.
Yeah. That's so true. And you know, I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is as an empath, you pick up so much of that, and
Hmm.
you can feel that. I can feel that. Like when I'm working on people, I can physically feel where they're struggling. But then you walk into an environment, and then you you feel it kind of all over you. And a lot of people feel that too, that environmental energy that they can pick up. And there's that vibe is so important for us to be able to measure and keep track of, and for everybody to be able to dial that up and dial that down right now, especially right now, is so important. Because
Yeah. Ooh.
you know and kind of like we were talking about earlier, getting some control over yourself and over that um tone that you're setting of that energy field is so important right now. And you
Oh
do
yeah.
have that ability I was just going to say, play with your energy ball.
Yeah, you go to the store, you put on your happy face, like for real. One of the things that I learned a long time ago was, you go places and people recognize your energy. And there's people that don't have good energy. You guys know that. And you go to the grocery store and you smile at people and you say hi and you're kind, or you don't even have to speak if you don't want to speak to people. But put on a smile and people will literally come up to you, as scared as they are now, and they will say, oh my gosh, your smile is so pretty, or oh my gosh, you feel so good, or oh, weird
Yeah.
comments about your energy is so nice. Thank you. And you're like, I just walked down the aisle with a smile. I'm thinking I want to machine gun y'all out. No, not really.
It
But
kind of makes it hard to take a compliment, though. It kind of makes it hard to take a compliment, because you're like, what do you,
what?
what's that?
But purposely do that because you want a scientific experiment. It's not hardcore science, but it doesn't take long to figure out that you've just changed everybody
Yeah.
that you've walked past, which is like a whole thing. Like that's how much your one person's energy can affect everybody. So in the same fold, if you're coming down an aisle and you're full of hate and discontent, then that's what you're giving off, is hate and discontent. And for somebody who's on the edge, that hate and discontent can be enough that it can put them over the edge. And people need to understand that the things we're doing today can help or hurt other human beings.
Yeah.
And that's not
Yeah.
without speaking, that's without hugging, that's without loving, that is just being present.
Yeah.
It's a whole
Yeah.
thing. Generation mother wounds run deep on my mother's side of the family. And Tracy, that's up to you to heal those. Wow, that's a
Yeah.
lot to say right there. But we can heal if we heal ourselves and accept those generational wounds and trauma as our own, and we work through it. You've just healed 7 generations backwards and 7 generations forwards. So
Yeah. I mean,
accepting
Tracy,
and moving.
that's some deep, yeah, that's some deep stuff there. I mean, and you have the power to do it. You have the power to do it. I mean, like, i I decided that shit stops here. That shit stops here. And like, I saw the damage that was happening to the generation below me, and my daughter was starting to be impacted. I decided, this is enough. Enough is enough.
Cut
Yeah.
it.
And
Yep, cut the cords
and
and free it.
and it's it is freeing. It is freeing. And it is so hard, but it is so rewarding for me, for everybody that I'm working with. Because if I weren't doing what I was doing to get to towards that ability to break those generational traps, really, that I have been in, then I wouldn't be able to help the people that I'm helping, and I wouldn't be able to be a resource to the people that I've been a resource for over the years, in various capacities. I mean, I haven't always done this. I was doing like corporate IT stuff for
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah,
You
this
know?
is new to you. Within the last few years, this is new to
Yeah.
you.
So, I mean, like, whenever I was doing that, I was still doing this type of healing work, though, just in a different, you know,
Fashion.
capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still people would I would talk to them. They would come to me and I would mentor them in varying degrees. And it's just always been just part of who I am. And that I know will never change. So it became evident that something had to stop, right? That the the lessons that I kept learning were presented in such a pattern that that had to become that lesson at some point. And that I had to take that away and finally say, okay, this is a teaching moment for me at some point. And how do I do this so that I can make sure that my daughter doesn't do the same things that I'm doing, so that my sons do not do the same things that I have done and that the men in my life have done. So, so at I think that there's so many relevant ways to stop the cycle, so to speak. But unless you are just willing to jump in and start to dissect the mess somewhere, you're not going to do it ever. And the universe has a way of slowing you the fuck down.
Oh yeah. And it's messy. That
Yeah,
slowdown and that cleaning out and dissecting is a fucking mess. It
yeah,
is. It's not pretty.
yeah. And so, like, if you're not willing to face it and do it, it's going to happen to you whether you want it to or not.
The thing I always say is if I do it myself, it's halfway controlled. I like to think it's halfway controlled. When it hits you because you didn't pay attention to it, it's like a train wreck that you can't. It's like the Tiger King. It really is.
Yeah,
It's like that show that you can't quit watching because it's so bad and you just got to see how bad it gets. That's what happens when you don't try to do it
just eating
yourself.
popcorn, just
Right,
eating
here we
popcorn,
go.
baby.
Pop some more, buddy. It's still ain't over yet. Lindsay says, I'm very intrigued about past lives. I've gotten brief flashes and meditations, and I agree past life regressions can really help. Loving this podcast. Thank you, Lindsay, for being on.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Appreciate you so much. I love you, girl. How you see yourself is important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Journaling my dreams for a while was cool. Then I once I had a dream that I actually recognized as part of my past life dream, viewed it in the journal. And a lot of times that's how our past lives come. They're like in
Yeah.
films in our dreams because we're not able to handle if we were to know the truth in a awake state, we would not we wouldn't make it through.
Yeah. I
Pretty
tell my clients all the time, journal your dreams. Journal your dreams. And as soon as you wake up, write down what you can remember dreaming about. You don't know in your conscious mind what your subconscious is trying to communicate with you.
right.
And when it comes to astro traveling, you don't know who you are traveling with. So the dream state, whenever you start to document in that sleep haze state that you come conscious of, writing that down and getting that out first thing is so important because you can come back and kind of see that pattern, kind of like what Linda was saying. She could see that it had brought in that past life state. Well, you might be able to see a pattern, right, of something that's coming up, that somebody's trying to communicate something with you, and or something completely different. I don't know, but your dreams are so important for you in that way, for communication through other spirits, through your guides, other dimensions, just all
Oh,
kinds of ways.
yeah, because time is not time. Time is not linear when we're dreaming. When we're
No.
asleep, time isn't anyway. But we let go of that. I really believe when we're in a sleep state, we let go of that linear line. And so it becomes very dimensional and very static. Tanya says we are conditioned from baptism before we have language, and that we are born a sinner, and then we pay emotionally, physically, and financially for redemption. In reality, we were born free. Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's another whole fucking podcast. I mean, that's that's another 6 hours of conversation. We're gonna have to get you on, and the three of us are gonna talk about that, because
Oh
that's
yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. That'll be a good one too. Don't
Tracy,
miss that one.
yeah. Ooh. Unfortunately, I didn't heal enough before my children were impacted. Tracy, that has nothing. No.
No.
So
No.
30 and 28 and no contact, and that's okay. That's okay, because it can still be healed without the contact. It can be healed on your part, energy wise, and that energy will impact them. Energy is not something we have to talk about and share with other people. It just has a way of connection. There have been scientific studies about people thinking about something in a concept, like, let's just pick a city. I don't know. I'm brain dead now. Let's just
Chicago.
say, yeah, Chicago. Let's say Chicago. And if a group of people can think about a red orange, okay, that sounds really stupid, but let's all focus on a red orange. And there can be groups in fucking Africa, and they will be working on this contact, and they will start talking about a red orange. We have that ability to connect universally and consciously. We just don't understand that we have that ability to connect, and that has been scientifically proven.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there have been so many studies done with universal consciousness. And again, I've even talked about this with your spiritual mushroom trips. There is a book called Sophia's Dragon Codex, or Sophia's Codex, and it's the dragon sequence, and it's a really thick book. It's like, I'm serious, very small print, and like this thick of a book, and it's millions of people who had the same conscious state during trips that never have heard of each other or talked to each other or know of any of this stuff, but exactly everything is the same. There is a universal consciousness. So if you're sitting there and you're focusing on healing what happened, and you're able to release that for you, going back with your relatives, then that's going to impact your 30-year-old and 28-year-old. Whether you see it or not, it will impact them. Guaranteed. That's been proven. It's been proven. Recently, sorry, my screen, things look like ant poop, so I have to kind of squint and like I have to try to read it. I recently had that past life dream where I recognized my son of this current life in the dream. I finished up the lesson of life, and the next morning a heavy weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Universal knowledge is one of those chakras above the crown chakra. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. You know, to that point, Julie, I would say too that, you know, going back to like, what is for the greater good? What is for the greater good, and what is for your greater good? Because when you work towards your greater good for your greater intention, that is also for
The
your
greater.
children's greater good and greater intention too. Right.
Yep.
So that is serving the greater good. And that is the vibe that the world, that the universe picks up on, is the greater good.
Yeah. And that's why, not to complicate the conversation, but that's why when you say, I need everything to clear or be removed that is no longer for my greater good, the fucking doors start slamming.
Mm-hmm.
And they will.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband reminds me of that all the time. I'm like, why did this person do this? Why did this happen? And did you not just stand there in the middle of the family room and ask for everything to be closed?
Everything to shut, like
and I
right
do,
now.
and I do that, and then there's a huge wave of doors slamming, and it's like, what did I do wrong? I didn't. I just got rid of all the unnecessary garbage that I did not need to be around.
Right.
Well, I didn't. Universe did, because I asked for it.
Right.
That's it, because it's for the greater good. Again, you're not
Because
just
it's for the greater good.
You're not clearing yourself. you're clearing everything as above, so below,
Hello.
which is your past, future, present.
Because you want to flow, baby.
It's what we want. God, guys, what an awesome show. Like, we're an hour and a half into it. Part 2. We got a lot of part 2s. We're going to have to do part 2. Part 2 is going to probably be longer.
I hope somebody's taking notes.
This is one of the simpler things that she did.
Or maybe not.
Yeah. Do you guys want a part 2? Like, how many of you guys want a part 2 of this? Because we can get into the shit show real deep. Like,
I feel like we haven't really gotten deep tonight. I feel like
this is
very surface level.
Was not deep, guys. This was a surface dive. Tanya says she's taking notes. She's taking notes. Okay, so everybody type in the number 1 if you want to go deep dive into this. Lindsay says this may need to be serious. Part 2. Okay, so somebody said part 2. Type. I've got 17 live watchers right now, and there's going to be repeats. I want the number 1. Type in the number 1 if you guys want us to do a deep dive. They're popping. Oh boy.
Do you want to go now, or do you want to keep going, or do you want to do a part 2?
Let's end and let's schedule. Oh my gosh, everybody's like, yes, look, yay. So
I love it. Thank you guys so much. This is so awesome. I mean, I love this so much. You guys are such a great audience.
Hi, Adam One. There's people popping up. I didn't even know we're on. Hi, David. Hi, Dave. Like, hi. Yes, thank you. So I go back and I read every comment from the shows, because even though I'm interacting with you, there's still things that I miss and I want to go in deeper to, or I want to give you information on. So of all we are mermaids, deep dive. What do you want to deep dive on? What aspect? What part of healing or shadow work or darkness? So be thinking about that and type it in, and Bethany and I'll go back and we'll review the comments. And thank you, Linda. Thank you for sharing the show. Absolutely. And get your friends to comment too, because I think that we need to work on oneself. Yeah. Okay. Miss Katie says, I think a lot of people need to work on oneself, like self-work, shadow work, ask your guides. Hi, Nancy. You can go back and watch it. It's a long one. It's an hour and 34 minutes. And an 11-second video of my cat. Ken. Shadow work says, Greg says shadow work times 10. And we could do a whole show.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on shadow work. That's for sure.
Yeah, the only change we can make is ourselves. Absolutely. And you have to recognize that. And the other thing that I've learned, and I think I speak for Bethany on this as well, I know I speak for Tanya on this, is it doesn't pay to work on somebody who doesn't want to work on themselves.
No.
Now, do we have, we have clients that pay us. We have clients that pay us for that. And that's part of the acceptance is, and we have that discussion with them. So understand that discussion takes place. Are you someone that wants to be empowered and learn to take care of yourself? Because that's our goal. So not just fucking taking people's money week after week. Are you somebody who wants to be empowered and do it yourself? If you are, I will teach you how to be empowered and cut you loose when you're ready.
Yeah.
But there are people who don't want to be empowered. There are people who just seriously want a confessional and a conscious cleaning every week.
Yeah. They want to just
become that confessional and that conscious cleaning every week.
So many people think, this is just like a pill. It's not. There's not a quick fix. And you can't just show up and think, oh, this is going to fix all of my problems. You have that power to be in more of a maintenance mode. You have that ability to be in a true self-care mode, we have the ability to help you get there and
Yes.
stay there. You have the power to get there and be there.
Katie says, love that, Beth. Self-care, self-care mode. Yes, self-care mode. We have to be all the time. And we skip
Yeah.
that. And we
Yeah.
skip that. And there's days it's too painful. And there's days it's too much. And there's days we're too tired. And then there's days where we just can't do it. And that's part of human experience too. And giving yourself the grace on those days that you haven't done that. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so it's, I haven't gotten out of bed for 2 days, or I haven't done the dishes for 3 days, or I haven't, shit, I haven't showered, or I haven't done anything but mope. Everybody's been there since COVID. This has become a norm, and taking care of
Yeah.
yourself, it has to come back. And we don't heal others. We can only help them open up to accept their healing, to receive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and aside with that, the thing about clients in Reiki, they wouldn't come to us and pay us if they were not open to the healing experience. Very few people will come to us and book us to heal them or to clean them that don't want some kind of healing.
Yeah.
They may not be willing to do it to work on themselves in that moment, but they are asking for help when they come to us.
Yeah.
Not everybody we have contact with hires us for that.
No.
And I'm very specific about that, because when you do gigs and shows, there are people that come to you that want you to put hands on them. Not necessarily to heal, but to drain your energy, to siphon, to sponge, to get attention, but not heal. And there is a difference in that.
Yeah. There's a huge difference in that, and especially after they have worked with you and they understand that feeling that they're going to get, that transference. They understand that they're going to get that zap of energy, and they know what they're doing then.
Yeah, they do. And I've had people come up to my table, and Tanya's been there in the same thing. Like, people will come up to your table and they'll be like, "Ooh, oh, I don't really want to be around this energy. It's not right for you." Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't adjust my energy for people. I don't. My energy is very protective. For those of you guys that know me, and Bethany's is too.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
very
yeah.
powerful energy, and we both have boundaries. And you're going to hit the boundary before you hit us. You will hit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have to guard our energy. We have to guard it.
Because there's people that will just suck the living life out of you. We can empower each other with acknowledgement. Absolutely, we can. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Everybody should count to 10 before saying something to someone, so as not to cause harm, but just show love. God, I wish people had
Yeah,
filters.
I wish people would do that.
Keyboard filters. Nobody here doesn't know what I'm saying. I'm like keyboard warriors on Facebook and shit. Damn, there's some hard people.
Just some people going hard at it, just really going hard, and not not
Well,
having any discernment for, what is right, what is wrong, what is evil, what is love, what.
you hide behind a keyboard. They don't have to meet the people.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no understanding that they're causing pain or causing something, and therein lies the problem. On the days when it has been the most difficult to love myself, Julie and Bethany and Kimberly and Kendall have been my friends and send me love so I can dive deeper. Dude, we all have days where we do not love ourselves.
We do, and we do have to shift that around sometimes, and not put the burden entirely on ourselves, right? We cannot entirely put that burden of self-love on ourselves.
Right.
It's important to recognize the importance of support through your community, whether that be friends, family, pets.
Pets are wonderful. They don't judge.
They don't judge.
They don't judge.
you know,
They
whether
don't
that be,
judge.
you know, a place that you visit that is a familiar place, that is, you know, a comfort zone that you can go to get your favorite cup of coffee, to go for your favorite, you know, morning snack. Whatever is that zone that you can get into that makes you feel that zone of love,
So
that zone
important.
of comfort. And it's just important for us to have that self-compassion check-in that is
Oh boy.
not entirely about yourself, so that you can also rely on some other foundation that allows you to check into that area or that capacity. Yes, I completely believe that yes, we must be self-reliant, right? We must have that self-reliance and that ability to be independent. But who are we if we cannot also depend on and have the ability to settle into others and other places, and let that vulnerability lie in those other things and other places just enough that we don't always have to feel so guarded.
Right. That's important.
Right.
That's so important. So important. Greg says it's great to meet you, Bethany.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you too.
Tracy says I became a level 1 Kundalini teacher. Ha, that's why you're okay. That explains a lot, Tracy.
Yeah,
20
Tracy.
years
Okay.
deep in my own practice. And some people come to class for the first time and say they are not ready. Man, the first time I took a rebirthing and Kundalini dance class, I was like, holy shit. I mean, hot mess, hot mess. Tears, tissues, movement, tears, tissues, movement, shit. And that's why I became an instructor, because it's like I can do it one-on-one with my clients while I'm working with Reiki, and I do the mantras, and I don't do a lot of the physical things. We sit and do them. We don't do a lot because a lot of my people don't want to move like that. They're not willing to go that far. And I get them while they're in a meditative state on my crystal bed, and we do meditations, and I open them up that way, and then they follow through, and it really works. Guys, it's 10:45. Thank you so much. I'm going to update Bethany's bio because my computer, every time I have a thing like this, and knowledge has to be put out there, the internet gremlins mess with my internet. And it didn't happen. And I was also booing at the Chiefs playing tonight, which is another whole issue because they just played like shit. And there's no excuse. We can't blame Taylor Swift for everything. So I'm not even going to go there. It was just a bad game. And I'm glad I didn't buy expensive munchies. But I'm so grateful for you guys being here. Thank you guys for being
Yes.
here. Thank you, Bethany, for being here. We are going
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
It's been wonderful, and your guys' response is awesome. And yeah, I was gonna do something really funny, and then that just went down. I was gonna do something
somebody
really funny.
somebody asked for a closing prayer, and you may not normally do this,
Go
so
ahead and do it. Absolutely.
yeah. So I mean, I'm not a very religious person. Like I don't subscribe to the I don't subscribe to religion, is how I would normally say that, like just
Correct.
as a blanket statement. But I do believe in the power of prayer. And
Absolutely.
you know, and I do believe in the power of prayer. I do believe in the power of meditation. I do believe in the power, you know, as you were saying earlier, of group thinking, right? So, you know, I think, Linda, that's a great idea to have a closing prayer, and then we'll kind of close out of. We'll turn it back over to you, maybe Julie, if that's
That
okay.
works. That's perfect.
Okay. So, you know, I just would like to really invite everybody to connect with their source, and connect with source to, you know, give ultimate gratitude now for tonight, for our ability to connect with one another through this podcast, through our community, the energy of our community here. I have been able to feel even before this podcast. So, Julie, I really want to thank you for bringing us all together. Not just tonight, but every time that you put this together, it expands our knowledge and our willingness to work together just that much more. So thank you so much. And, my heart goes out to everyone who is willing and able to expand their mind and expand their willingness to join in for these conversations. And I pray that we continue to have listeners and an audience that is like-minded and also continues to grow in that capacity of willingness to expand their thinking. So thank you for this ability to join together. I ask that we continue to have a great week ahead of us. We've got a full moon coming. I know we can all feel that energy. It's going to be a beautiful full moon. So I ask that you guys lean into that energy and carry it forward with the same charisma that we had tonight.
Absolutely.
So, thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Bethany. That was beautiful. Grace, absolutely, absolutely. And with that same thing, take a minute, whether you do it now or you do it before you go to bed, and think about the love you feel for yourself and the love you feel for your family. And then carry that to the love that you should feel, the love you want to feel for your neighbors, and the love you feel for your block, and the love you feel for your city, and the love you feel for your state, and then the love you feel for the nation, and the love you feel for the world. And then bring that back into one big hug into the love you feel for yourself again. And just 5 minutes of your time to feel that source and let it travel through. And that's enough to heal a huge community of people. And if we all do that, we can all share that love and that blessing. And maybe we can stop the drama and we can stop the hate one person at a time with the love that we're feeling and the love that we put out there.
So beautiful.
I see you all. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.